All right, welcome. My name is Tyler. I'm going to be your interviewer today. Could we all introduce ourselves? I'll give you a handshake. Yeah. I'm Tyler. I'm Tyler.
Lily.
I'm Tyler.
Kate.
All right, awesome. So, can you just let everyone know what political party you're from and who your running mate is?
Yeah, my name is Connor Pape, political candidate from the Y Party, and my running mate is Daniel Toland.
My name is Lily Van Cura. I am from the Z Party, and my running mate is Kate Crutchfield.
Awesome. All right. So my first question is for you. What was your motivation? Like when you started this back in beginning of March, am I correct? What was your motivation? Like what stood out to you? What were you like? Oh, you know what? I want to run for this. I want to try this out. I want to do my nomination. I want to see how it goes.
I would say my motivation was really the experience that I knew I would get from doing this project, the leadership skills, leading a team, working with others, because those are really important skills that you'll need down the line in a workplace or higher education.
Awesome, love it. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I came into this thinking about what I could get out of it, and I thought that a lot of the leadership skills, communicating, instructing a team, all of that combined is going to help me in the future, and I just thought it was a really fun thing to do.
Amazing. And also, so the running mates you also did a nomination.
Yeah.
But you lost in the primaries. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you like to add anything on to what your presidents just said?
I agree with what they both said about how it would be useful to know about this stuff and not only know how to vote, but also know how it is to be running for president.
Awesome. How about
Yeah,
you?
just so I'd get a better understanding of everything. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So after the nomination, you started your marketing. What was your approach to marketing and getting your name out there?
I'll go first this time. So I met with a lot of teachers and a lot of people. And by doing this, I found a way to get my name out there. Another thing that I would really recommend doing in the future was all of the teachers that I didn't meet, I went around and I gave them all a brochure, and I just made sure that my name was out there. With my money, I bought the sign out in front of the school.
Saw that.
And I also bought the entire cafeteria because many people go in and out of there every day. So I found that would be the best strategy to have everybody know my name.
What do you mean by buying the cafeteria? I know the sign, obviously, that was awesome. I didn't. Also, I would like to mention, I don't know if Mrs. Tully mentioned you this, I also ran for president.
Yes.
I won. The sign was definitely not an option for me. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
What do you mean by buying out the cafeteria? What did you do?
So the cafeteria was $10,000, and I decided that I wanted to buy it not only to put my name out there, but to keep others from being as recognized in a way. Because when I did this, it made sure that all of the teachers on lunch duty, all of the students, they said, oh, I know that she's running, and they can talk to their teachers and they can talk to their peers. And it was just a way to make everybody know,
Yeah.
to have everybody know
Get
what
your
I was
get your
doing.
name out there.
Yeah.
Have everyone take it in. How about you? What was your approach to the marketing, getting your name out there? And
Yeah.
everything?
In terms of marketing, I really wanted to create some marketing tools that were really engaging for people, so that they could take action and get involved with the actual marketing. So, for example, I created a contest with a QR code. Every 5 scanners would get a sticker. Every 50th scanner gets a T-shirt. Every 100th scanner gets a hoodie. So
Great.
it was super cool because a lot of people got engaged with that and they had a lot of fun with that. So that was super fun.
That's awesome.
And then also trying to get a lot of exposure, buying bulletin boards in hallways where a lot of teachers pass through. Because I really wanted to appeal to the teachers since they have 5 times the vote a student has.
Yep.
So I really thought that was really important. So buying bulletin boards where the teachers pass through, engaging the teachers and students alike, I thought that was really important.
Awesome. You mentioned brochures, pamphlets, and you mentioned QR codes and stickers. Were there any other things you handed out, posters you hung up on the walls or anything? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I had actually a meet and greet in the morning on one of the days that we were doing this, where we had breakfast foods, a lot of snacks, waters. We had, our donation pages open for teachers to come, take a snack, have a sip of coffee, and make a donation, which was it was really great.
That's cool. How about you?
So I did a lot of flyers, and in the cafeteria I actually have a big sign that just says "Vote Lily Van Kira" on it.
Love it.
So I just made it really big, and I have a lot of different things everywhere. So by doing this, people couldn't miss it.
Yep. Awesome. Kind of related to marketing, getting your name out there, fundraising process. Going around getting that money, because you need the money to buy the $10,000 cafeteria. You need the money to put up your signs. Can you explain the fundraising process to people who may not know?
Do you want to go
Okay.
first?
So to fundraise, obviously you don't buy the cafeteria with real money. You need totally bucks.
Yep.
So to do that, each teacher involved in the project represents an organization or a specific person. So you want to schedule an interview with that teacher or organization, and you really want to learn about what they stand for and what they want to hear you know about and what your beliefs are. So you want to research that, come up with a pitch for them, meet with them, pitch your ideas and your beliefs to them, and hopefully they'll fundraise to help you continue your campaign and get into office.
Love it. That's awesome. Anything else?
Yeah, so I agree with what he said. Personally, one of my biggest contributors was Giffords. I have $90,000 from them.
Dang.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, and they've been very generous.
Who do you know who runs that?
Mrs. Bates.
She's been really generous.
Really generous, yes.
That must help.
But not only has talking to her gotten me that fundraising money, it has gotten me her vote and other teachers. By her spreading the word of me talking to her, having a great conversation, it helps other teachers get influenced to talk to me. And a lot of what he said, I researched what people stood for, and I talked about what they wanted to hear, and if I was lucky and if I said the right things, then I got a donation, and if I didn't, then I would have somebody else come back or try again.
Awesome. That's a good strategy. From other people besides yourself from your
Yeah,
campaign
my
team come
campaign
back?
team did a lot of fundraising as
Awesome.
well.
Love it. One of my questions was how much total money did you end up spending? I'm guessing a lot, but do you know a ballpark range of
So
cash?
the cafeteria was $10,000. The sign outside was $10,000. I had to buy the cafeteria twice, so after the primaries.
Yep.
And I had a lot of flyers, and I also had buttons and signs. So altogether, probably somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How about you? Same sort of range?
I actually did not end up spending that much money. I was probably a little bit too conservative with it. So, bulletin boards and buttons all included, I think I didn't really spend more than $13,000.
Wow. That's not bad. What was the most enjoyable part of the campaign? What really got you going? Was it the talking breakfast in the morning? Was it going around to teachers getting the money? What was it? What really ticked for you?
So I really liked working with my campaign team, and I also really liked getting donations. I felt like talking with the teacher, it just brought a connection, I guess.
Yep.
And it was just a really fun part of it for me.
Love it. And you can add on too, because you were
Yeah.
part of the campaign team. You did this.
Yeah, really just the people. Talking to a lot of teachers, I didn't know half the teachers existed. Not gonna lie. But just meeting new people, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Great way. Awesome. How about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed, not only working with your team, but being creative and creating new things, creating your website, coming up with new marketing strategies and opportunities. I think not only was that just super fun, but it's super helpful to learn these skills, to use them down the road, and it was just super great experience to have.
Yeah, I like the new ideas you mentioned, because for me, we didn't do a sign. We didn't rent out the cafeteria. We didn't do QR codes. So like, and I didn't even like think about that. So it's cool to see the different the variety of different things you can do. Like we did a pamphlet and we did like stickers, but like it's fun to see how like you can expand upon that. Anything else?
I think that the best part of it was making the advertisements, like the posters, brochures, and especially the billboard. I think that billboard was my favorite part of the whole project.
Do you have, so where's your, it's located upstairs, right?
Yeah, it's in the science hallway, and it's all red, and it has a big poster of me on it. which-
Awesome.
Not to be self-absorbed, but it is pretty cool.
Love it. Do same thing, like I know they were the science hallway, but then there's the other one with the math and
Yeah.
history. Is that where you guys are?
So I don't have a bulletin board. She has a
Yeah,
bulletin
mine was
okay.
on the corner, like
Mhm.
right across from Senior Freighter's room.
Yep.
But I spent a lot of my money towards the cafeteria because I thought it would reach a wider
Yep.
audience.
That's awesome. So, bouncing off of the most enjoyable part, what was the hardest challenge that you faced as a campaign team or individually throughout the whole process? Like from the nomination up to the primaries up to now, what was the biggest challenge you guys faced as a team or individually?
I think individually, leading a team, building these leadership skills, because personally that is something that I've struggled with. I always want to take everything on myself, because I want to make everything as perfect as it can be and exactly how I want it. And when you're doing a big project like this, you just can't do that. You need to be
Yeah.
able to lead a team, guide people where they need to be, and really just grow these leadership skills. So I think that was probably the hardest thing for me in this project, but I think it was what I've gotten the most out of this project with.
I like that, being able to like kind of let go and like push other like responsibilities
Right.
into other people. Like for me personally, I kind of did the same thing you did. I was like, I want to do everything myself, but you can't really do everything yourself. You have to trust other people to do it for you and to like as a team create that vision that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, so I'm actually campaign manager and a presidential candidate. So along that path, I did a lot of the organizing, and I had a hard time not overworking myself or others. I felt that, like, at the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is such a big project. And I felt kind of lost in all of it. But as we kept going, I found a way to get where we needed to be, and I won the primaries, so obviously I was doing something
There
right.
you go, doing something right. Love it. What is one thing you were proud about? Like what's like one accomplishment that you guys did that you really sticks out to you, and what makes you proud about this campaign?
Something personally that I'm very proud about is a little bit of my fundraising, because I feel like my connections that I've made I'm pretty proud about. But also I've mentioned the cafeteria and the sign up front a lot, but I'm proud of what those have come to be, and I need to thank my campaign team for that.
Yep.
But they did a lot of that work.
Have you heard anyone like mention the sign, and have you heard people be like, whoa, that's them, I know them?
I've had people come up to me in the halls and say, oh my gosh, that's the girl with her face everywhere.
Love it. It's great. How about you guys? Most thing you're proud of?
Yeah, I think I have a couple things that I'm really proud of, but what stands out the most to me is how I've learned to help other people grow and move through this project well, and also grow their leadership skills, because working on a team isn't just following someone, you also need to help everybody else. So I think helping other people grow was really one of the things that I'm most proud of, and then also just creating new things, growing your creativity, and I think that was another one of the things I was most proud of.
Awesome. So right now, you guys, the general election is tomorrow, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
So you've already been through the first primary and then the presidential debate as well, right?
Yes.
How did you prepare for that debate? What was your process? Did you go through it with your team? I know you had the questions in advance, right?
Yes.
So what was your strategy on getting those questions and being like prepared to respond to them when it came time in the debates?
So before this whole simulation, we all wrote an essay on specific topics, and I read each one of my team members' their essays, and I went through them and I wrote down notes on note cards, and I talked about our position on it and why our position was a good path to be on. and then I went over with my team if those notes were good, if they wanted to add anything. And then we had one final question, why should they vote for you? And I had everybody write down on a note card something that they would vote for me for.
Love it. Would you?
Yeah, I think it was really important for me not to just look at the questions and prepare my answers alone, but to work through it with my running mate. Because if you get stuck in the debate and you don't have anyone to help you out, it's really not going to be a good position.
Yep.
So working through the questions with my running mate, and then looking at my opponent's essays and their positions, and finding things that we had different, and ways that I could show that my path was a better path to follow than theirs, which was really good for me.
So during the debates, you had the moderators ask you all these questions, and you had those prepared from the different planks and platforms that you went through from your different team. Were you able to, like, every single question, were you able to, like, answer it well, or, like, were some of them, like, did some of them trip you up a little bit?
I think I thought I was very well prepared for both debates that we had. It was what I was worried about going into the debates was questions I would be getting from the candidates, because I wasn't aware of what the questions would be.
Oh, like sort of like a rebuttal type thing.
Yeah.
Yes, like the rebuttals that I would get. But I preparing my answers for the questions I did know really helped me prepare for the rebuttals that I would get. So I think I was really well prepared for the rebuttals, which was really helpful for the debate in general.
Awesome.
Yeah, so those rebuttals, I had no idea what he was going to ask me. And I'm not going to lie, I was not perfect during the debate. But I felt like overall I got my word out, and I felt strongly about my choices and what I stood for.
For you two, for the debate, it was in front of your grade, so it was kind of a crowd. Does that intimidate you guys? Are you comfortable with that? How did that affect you during the debate?
I found it actually to be kind of a driving factor, because you really just don't want to mess up in front of all these people.
That's true.
You don't want to mess up, and you want to obviously appeal to everybody, get the votes. So I felt that being in front of a crowd was honestly more helpful than intimidating. I thought it was a really great factor for the debates. To you can look into the crowd, get their responses. You can look into their faces, see what they're feeling about the things that you're saying, things that your opponent is saying, and capitalize or draw back on those things.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with what he said, but sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
What was were you intimidated by the big crowd type?
So I was
setting?
definitely a little bit nervous about embarrassing myself in front of all of my peers. I think it was a combination of being nervous and having it be motivation for me, because I wasn't going to stand up there and look stupid in front of everybody, but I also was nervous to not look stupid. So I think it was definitely a combination of the both.
Awesome. So I have two more questions, and then we can wrap it up and you guys can eat lunch.
Okay.
My first one is, if you're looking back on, when did you guys start? It was early March, right? It was March.
Late February, we
February?
finished our
Okay.
essays.
So looking back to late February, the start of this process, what is one piece of advice, and we can do for all four of you real quick, what is one piece of advice that you would give to yourself to prepare you for the journey? We'll start with you.
If I could go back and tell myself one thing, I'd just say that you're gonna do better than you thought you did, because I wasn't gonna run originally.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of did it I was just like, hey, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Why not?
Yeah.
So if I could go back and tell myself one thing, I'd just be like, go for it. Don't be afraid to do anything, because this is 8th grade. It's a simulation.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
What's the worst that could happen?
That's a great
I
mentality.
agree with her. I was actually texting my friend at 8 o'clock the night before. I was like, should I do this? She said I should, so thank you for that.
Yeah, listen to your friends.
But yeah, but I think it has just been a great experience, and I think if I would give myself any piece of motivation, would be to accept help. I don't need to be the one doing everything, even though I am campaign manager and the candidate. Probably help other people do what they need to do as well, and you'll do fine.
Awesome. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, looking back, it's been such a great project. It was a huge success. And if I could give myself, one or two pieces of advice in terms of, how to be successful with the project, I would say, use your campaign team. You're given a team for a reason, and you really want to, get help from other people and, have them do their part. You don't need to do everything by yourself.
Yep.
And then also just reaching out to teachers, even if it's not a fundraising interview, just reaching out to them really early on in the process of the project, because I think that's super important when you're, trying to get good first impressions. You really would just want to reach out to them.
Awesome. And you?
I think like the only piece of advice I'd give is that like definitely make my team do more work, because I had to do so much work that I shouldn't have, because some people just decided that they were going to do something else and have way more free time than they should have, and I had to do most of the work.
Take more command of it.
Yeah, because I mean I wasn't like really loose with them, but I wasn't as strict as I should have.
Okay, that makes sense. And my last question, you mentioned it earlier in the debate. I think you were asked it, and it's more specifically for the presidential candidates. Why should I vote for you?
You want to start?
Sure, yeah. I think, given my ideas, my beliefs, and my views on some of the topics, I think it's a really great experience for me and for you guys to elect me.
Awesome. Lily?
I stand strong to my beliefs, and I feel like the process that I've went through and everything, like, I feel really proud of what I've been doing, and I really enjoy this kind of thing, and I think it's a really fun thing to do, and vote for me.
Love it. All right, well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out here. Go eat your lunch.
Okay.
Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.